Hey everyone, this is a completely blind playthrough of Where Winds Meet, played in solo mode, recommended difficulty, not looking at any guides or websites or videos. It is just me exploring a type of game I don't play all that often. This video contains spoilers, tons of spoilers. In case you're curious about my recommendation, the TLDR, then the answer is very simple. I do recommend this game. Let's dive in and you'll learn why. Meet me. I am the baby held by my uncle Jiang Yan. This guy, Chen, he will die in a few minutes. There's no need to remember him. He is just a fanboy. I'm getting ambushed. A very cool interactive sequence plays out. I'm shooting fire arrows at several bad guys. Well, my uncle is. I am the baby, after all. They want my jade amulet, and can I just take a moment to glaze a bit at how visually stunning this all is, and also pay attention to how bad the English voice acting is. My horse dies, I die almost as well, and it is time for the first boss, the Void King. But not before I do a little tutorial, which I won't bore you with. It's safe to say the tutorial didn't help, as I'm taking 5 consecutive scythe swings to the face. As a matter of fact, I'm getting slaughtered, and this isn't like the first boss in Elden Ring where you are supposed to get slaughtered. No, this is just me entering Limgrave and I'm still being demolished. Fortunately, I seem to have endless heals and tons of life, and after fighting the initial version of the boss he enrages, I do get the hang of it a little bit, in particular the parry mechanic called deflection. The boss is resurrected after the fact. The fanboy sacrifices himself. Here is the bad guy, I think, and this was all just an introduction to the game. It's well done and executed and very effective. This game has a ridiculously detailed character creation menu, but I just attempt to sort of create myself, meaning no makeup, go bald, this is fine. I immediately get attacked again, lose my necklace with the jade, this time for real, and decide on a name. Some or die, I know. It's back to horrible voice acting, which I will fix by changing the spoken language to Chinese. Mandarin, I suppose. I'm not fluent in that, but it sounds a lot better. I find a spear. This is my second weapon set, and I can swap weapons as well. This looks amazing, I think. The little girl, Ruby, wants to go to a shrine, but I am in full exploration mode here, and this game has a lot to offer in that regard. Chests are lit up, you can decide how much UI help you want in terms of exploration. The items I loot from the chests, they all look abysmal. There are these collections everywhere that teach you about Chinese customs, history, items, the world, and they provide exploration points as well. I don't know why I would need these points, but there's a progress bar for it, so that makes me very happy. Here is a boundary stone, a waystone basically, or teleport. Interactive objects have this little glow over them, so they're easier to spot and collect. Again, I have no clue what for, but I am collecting twigs and pebbles and ore, crafting, I suppose. There are cats everywhere, providing elegance and exploration rewards. Again, I don't know what any of this means, but cats, they're pets, and they must be pet, I think, and when you do, you get a point. I practice a bit of archery before entering a contest with Feng Shisheng, and of course I defeat the guy because of my fabulous archery skills. I practiced versus Lord Capon after all, and this is way easier. I get archery points as a reward, and it is not long before I encounter my first non-tutorial enemy. A traveling merchant provides a piece of the map, giving a sense of how big the world is. While he keeps yapping, I notice a bear in the background who is having a dubious interaction with this tree. I then see the bird next to the vendor is wearing a hat. It turns out the vendor wants me to drive out the bear, and not only that, I can apparently steal a skill by watching the bear. As a matter of fact, I just learned Tai Chi from watching a bear. It therefore only makes sense that I will now use his own Tai Chi moves against him, and I successfully launch him into a conveniently placed pile of rocks, revealing the treasure covered by those rocks. As a reward, I get to pick a new weapon, which is effectively a new class. I decide to go tank. This leads me to what I believe at this point is the tank class passive tree. However, I don't seem to have enough points, no clue how to get them either. I decide to disable signposts. These are messages other players can leave behind, like in Elden Ring. This is a blind new player experience after all. I check out cooking, but have no materials. I discover a dungeon or instance, but I can't enter it yet. I'm missing a level and an item. It seems I can steal more skills in here. I then stumble upon this guy roaming the wilds. He is rather large, probably compensating, and he probably heard me saying that as well, because after that, this happens. I encounter butterflies, which you can follow to witness wonders. I was raised a Christian, I'm always up for witnessing some wonders. The translation is rough, but introducing a landmark like this, I think that's amazing. Not only that, it also leads to a quest, starting with this guy telling me of a treasure. I was raised a capitalist, I like treasures. The game teaches me the eavesdrop ability, and after I have the info, I blow the bandits to smithereens. I unleash my inner Tenshu, collect the treasure on the rooftops, and then accidentally stumble into the bandit leader Zhang Bao, who has 3 lackeys around him as well. My combat skills and parrying have improved a bit though, and I managed to kill him. There's a chest with a clue on how to progress. The red dots, I figure out after a while, correlate to lit contraptions, so I smoothly dispose of the rest of the camp by both melee combat and firing arrows at those barrels, because of course you're having a tea next to a bunch of exploding barrels with your bandit colleagues. These are the fires that I need to light. I'm lighting the wrong one here, by the way. It turns out I have 5 emails with stuff in it. As a matter of fact, it turns out the menu consists of other menus that consist of more menus, and they all have claimable stuff in it. You're about to see how smart I am, because this duel relies on wit, not weapons. The gift of gab. I don't know what gab means, but apparently it is to talk at length, I discover when writing the script. That means it's actually a pretty decent name. I can't figure out for the life of me what I'm supposed to do though. This UI I think is a total disaster. So my wit isn't great, as it turns out. Who would have guessed? Back to the quest, or almost, because I see this super shiny chest and it has a gnome inside of it or something. A very strong gnome who is about to kill me. I escape back into the fort where the explosive barrels are, and he follows me. Big mistake. I also finally figure out which devices need to be lit, unlock the entrance, and by using Mighty Drop I open the dungeon. All of this is pure side quest, by the way. The game hasn't told me to do any of this, I just stumbled upon these following butterflies. Exploration is very instinctive and natural, I love that about this game. Inside the dungeon, it's not just a room with treasure, it's a whole thing. You open a door, Elden Ring style. There are several other puzzles to solve, including the use of emotes, and there is this wall sequence of characters. I figure out I can enhance gear using the materials that I keep finding in chests. I make everything +1. This is the final room of the dungeon, I think. It is incredibly atmospheric. From reading a scroll, I learn a new ability. The menu tells me I've completed the quest. But not only that, it also has taught me a stealth takedown. After leaving the dungeon, I immediately get the opportunity to use this. It's very cool, and I think a great reward for doing all of this work, encouraging exploration in this beautiful world. I'm becoming more and more of an assassin now, eavesdropping and taking out enemies in stealth. This is very enjoyable. It is at this point I figure out that if I use the same mighty drop ability on these stones and follow the cricket and pick him up, I get, you guessed it, a cricket, and experience, and an attribute point. You get experience for everything in this game, except for killing enemies it seems. I'll get back to the cricket. First, more mighty dropping, because I unlocked another side quest, leading to yet again another dungeon. I'm an assassin now, which you can tell by my subtle loadout. I fire arrows to dispose of vines and blow up more conveniently placed barrels. This doesn't get old. I then use an explosive barrel to blow up a door, only to realize I can push it open instead. It's a classic. The boss awaits me at the end, and after I manage to defeat him, I can loot more chests, gain more experience, reach level 8, and after learning another emote and using it, I complete another side quest. I watch this guy and the frog. This means stealing a skill, and I learn Leaping Toad. Now I can use it as well, which is pretty cool. The game is full of these AI generated characters, and by talking to them you basically strike up an AI conversation and you can complete their quest. You have to persuade or convince them somehow by just basically chatting with them. I think it's an interesting way to incorporate AI into the game. I reach level 9, I do another mini game where you must defeat butterflies so you can loot a flower, and as with the cricket I later figure out what these are for. These are in fact for that class tree, that passive tank tree of before, so by spending a cricket and a flower I get 5 endurance and 150 HP. The crickets and flowers are called oddities and they're all over the open world. I much later realized this tree is likely generic and not just for the tank class, as switching classes doesn't change the tree. I notice a guy fishing, tell him I want a fishing rod and he provides that, and I continue to beat him at his own fishing game. It's fun, you have to select the right bait and hold the mouse in a certain spot, and the reward is the mindset attribute. I haven't figured out attributes yet. Here is another minigame, throwing arrows in a vase while drunk. I'm very good at this. I fight a guy in the arena, which I apparently didn't record. I get a whole new outfit as a reward. If you equip new gear pieces in the game, it doesn't show on the character. At least I don't think so, or my appearance outfit just overrides it. A few claims later, going through 34 menus, I do in fact pick a new outfit. Meet Samurai, the blue assassin monk. I realize the game has energy, which I cannot spend. Ruby turns out to be a spoiled brat. I practice more in the arena and manage to defeat 2 opponents consistently. My third opponent is cheating however and invisible half the time, and she throws me out of the arena, after which I instantly lose the fight. It's fine, I complete the quests that I was here to do, which had me spar with all of the 4 arena contestants, win or lose. The main quest continues here. I had to bring Ruby to this place after all. I get talent points, unlocking more skills such as wind sense, something that I will use way later. It's basically like the Witcher sense or Spidey sense. It shows objects and line of sight and that sort of thing. I unlock charged skills as well, a new mystic skill slot, another mystic skill slot. Tai Chi is a mystic skill, for example, and Surging Meridian. It's like a passive second wind ability. I do another round of upgrading all my gear. I have been exploring and questing, and I have plenty of materials, it seems. I somehow comprehend inner ways. These are more passive bonuses that you can equip. I am definitely overwhelmed by how many menus and upgrades there are, and I can never seem to get back into these menus either because I simply can't find them. I upgrade my Nameless, which is somehow a separate upgrade compared to the gear upgrades of before. Other weapons can be unlocked and the game does tell you where to go if you want to play those, which I think is nice. I unlock professions, apparently it's only healer and scholar for now. I win another fishing contest and get 2 fish as an accessory, because who doesn't want to walk around with fish dangling from your belt? I learn Meridian Touch, which can petrify or do the opposite. This completes a volume somehow, which is I think part of a quest or an entire quest. I solve a puzzle for Meow Meow, the wizard cat or something, and he keeps giving me bells. This is another oddity, bees. I submit a bunch for passives on another passive tree, not to be confused with my legacy passive tree, which requires talents points. I just unlock everything I can buy. By collecting more stuff, I reach level 14. I dispose of an entire random bandit camp I come across, upgrade my sword once more. There's something going on here about a great hero trial, but I couldn't find it. I'm being ambushed by wolves, but they turn out to be not that much of an issue. Here is another Meow Meow puzzle collecting Will-o'-the-Wisps. You'll be doing that a lot as it turns out. I reach level 15 and the game tells me I reached the max level and should break through. Break through what? I don't know. It's like a capstone dungeon in Diablo 4, it turns out. I need to defeat these bandits and then my level cap is increased and the world tier as well. This isn't easy, it's a real challenge, but fortunately I learned Tai Chi from a bear and it turns out Tai Chi is excellent against enemies that wear shields. I have to go 3 rounds, I defeat the final big bandit and I am now level 2 emerging. The only thing emerging to me is how terrible all the localization and UI are. What emerges as well is new gear. I basically get a whole new set to help with the new world tier, as these are all significant upgrades with higher item levels. I enhance more stuff. I think these enhancements are my item slot enhancements, no matter which item I equip. And then separately you can also upgrade the weapons individually, just to make it easy on the player, you know. All of these things are capped, by the way, and cannot exceed your character level, which is also why you need to raise the cap using breakthrough. I unlock an exploration skill, a chance to obtain a copy when collecting something. When collecting oddities, maybe that's useful. Yet more skills and passives to worry about. It turns out I'm sick, the game says I can self-heal, but I have no idea how. I continue the main quest, which leads me to Heaven's Spear, and the wonder butterflies introduce me to the place. It's beautiful once more. I get a map of the region. I decide to play some music, because of course I do. I was raised a musician, after all, by musicians. This is Guitar Hero, but then Chinese. It's a lot of fun actually. I win a drinking game, I don't have to explain why anymore I think, and I did this by celestial seizing the anti-drunk pills of my cheating opponent. It's like telekinesis is also something I can do. I unlock another exploration passive, effortless swim, reducing stamina cost while swimming. I never swim though. I do more drunk arrow throwing. I play a really weird game of Chinese chess, which I win despite having no clue why. I find a sick goose, which I decide to heal, which basically triggers a Slay the Spire minigame where apparently this goose needs physiotherapy because he has a fractured bone. I studied medicine, no joke, and I can tell you, the proposed remedy against a fractured bone isn't physiotherapy. It's probably another case of bad localization. I set the bone multiple times with my cards, deplete its health, and the goose is healed. If only I could heal myself as well, that would be great. There are more geese. This one is fighting a bear, because of course it is. He's not even using Tai Chi, I don't know what's going on. I can learn skill from this encounter, however, and I succeed. I make hot pot for this little girl, and I learned that as long as you have food in your inventory, the game automatically uses it to top up your health. That's very neat. By combing the hair I don't have, I unlock a new hairstyle, and you may wonder what happens to the main story quest. Yeah, this is a game where you constantly discover new stuff, so I keep deviating. But let's get back to it. Well, a guy at Heaven's Spear sent me to this place to meet my aunt. First, I encounter this lovely creature, and all goes well until my cock-blocking aunt arrives.
愣着干什么呢？这个时辰了，酒器还没送来，还不快去祠窑问问？
She even starts a conversation with this girl, which I will say you can just stand around and listen to. It's all very organic. I have unlocked level 2, the aspirant. I don't know in what level 2 this is. I equip a new outfit, which I think has unlocked thanks to a higher elegance score. And if I'm not mistaken, you get that from petting cats. I'm level 20 at this point, upgrade my weapons to that same level, enhance several item slots, just randomly, really. Whatever materials I have, I spend. And then it is time for another breakthrough, so that I can unlock the level 30 cap. This stuff is getting pretty hard though, and the last wave boss defeats me. You need to employ all your different skills that you learned up until this point to make it out, at least I think so. Or lower the difficulty, which I don't want to do. I remember after 3 defeats that I am in fact a tank. I always just use my sword up until this point, but as that doesn't get me anywhere during this encounter, I try out the tank mode instead. I can create a shield, which is very helpful as that mitigates a lot of damage. I have a lot of health left going into the 3rd wave because of that. Using my taunt ability, which basically stun locks enemies, my shield and some Tai Chi here and there, I quite easily make it out. I really like that you should employ different tactics to defeat these waves. I am now level 3 Observe, which I believe represents my solo mode level. The whole world has leveled up, I receive a batch of new gear and my new level cap is 30. My aunt has sent me to the porcelain kiln, where they make porcelain I presume, but something happened. The whole place is torn up and it turns out to be this guy. You get to fight him, but this is in fact like the first Elden Ring boss. You're not expected to beat him, and this turns out to be none other than the legendary Killer Blade. A ruthless killer, but someone who keeps his word, or so the locals have told me. There is some honor left among thieves, perhaps, or killers. Clearly, he is very skilled in combat. He defeats me, after all. He forces me to take him to my aunt, which I'm happy to do so that I can continue my conversation with the chick in the bar, but the game won't let me. Instead, while Killer Blade fends off an ambush, I make a run for it and end up in this shrouded temple. I enter a secret passage and I escape from the back. There, I meet a fisherman who teaches me this. Before I can use this, I must overcome this barrel challenge. I make it to the boat, I get the skill, but I can't use it until I have the Afterglow pendant. And I can only get that when I reach area progression level 4. This starts to make a little bit of sense now. I will just have to explore more in Qinghe, which is the province that I'm in, providing me with all of those exploration points until I get 4,000 of them, and then the pendant and lightning fast travel will be mine, I think. With that in mind, I go on a quest, have 3 drinks, end up in a wolf-infested cave, and am expected to clear out the wolves. Sounds easy enough, more exploration points incoming, but yeah, I don't know about this one. As a matter of fact, she hits about as hard as Killer Blade. I wish the game would tell you this before you start the encounter. I caught a thief. He is now on the back of my horse, which ironically I stole from a random NPC. There's bounty hunting, as it turns out. I'm wondering if there is a game mechanic that is not in this game. I unlocked the dual weapon skill, letting me easily swap between 2 weapon sets. I return to my aunt to tell her Killer Blade is out to get her, but it turns out that she's not there. Last time she was seen at the local healer, who I visit, and while I'm there I upgrade my flask. This leads me to an underground dungeon in search of my aunt and the village doctor, and after fighting a bunch of what seems to be zombies, I enter this place. I rip the flute out of his hands, play it myself, and this happens. I'm clueless, but it is enchanting. I keep playing, these so-called faceless keep following me, which I use to unlock the door. Behind it are various riches, more inner way stuff, I reach level 27, and there's a book for training various martial arts as part of the main story quest. I choose 3 of them because that is what the quest asks me to do, only to wake up in this crimson-covered world. This is very impressive, once more. Completely nonsensical, at least to me, but I don't always need to understand stuff to enjoy it. I meet another lady who looks like my aunt. Her name is Heartseeker, however it's in quotation marks, and she destroys my ass, keeping up with the cock-blocking charades. Going tank this time doesn't help either, I get completely blasted either way. The game allows me to pick any of the martial arts, however, and despite me never having played this, I decide to go for healing, becoming a fanboy basically, and this works well. I don't do much damage, but I have 2 healing spells available, so I never die. And after a long and very cool fight, she bites the dust. And I wake up. I return the flute to the faceless guy. He mumbles something about my aunt being the water lady. It looks like I can retry this quest, defeat Heartseeker again, and get a bunch of rewards at the cost of energy. This energy replenishes daily. I guess you can buy it in the store as well, but I don't actually know. I decide I want to officially become a fanboy. That healing was very strong. The game tells me where I can learn this. It is far away. During that long and arduous journey, where I use more Tai Chi against bears to uncover treasures, I make it to the entrance. I use the dragon key, which I didn't know I had, and it turns out I need to stealth skill theft the fanboys. It's very cool. Yet another aspect of this game that I wouldn't necessarily expect. First, I accidentally kill myself, thinking I can triple jump in here, which you can't. The game tells you this, by the way, I just wasn't paying attention. At this point, the cave plays like Assassin's Creed, hiding in the bush. Slowly but surely, and by using my spidey sensibility, I can see enemy vision lines and take them out with stealth skills. It's a good thing I learned all of these things along the way, I think. I finally reached the end, used the stealth skill theft successfully, and I can now equip a fan. I gotta upgrade that thing, of course. I notice I can also upgrade mystic skills like Tai Chi. Somehow this gets me 0.01% increased damage. I'm not sure about this, but I do it anyway. I decided to learn more fan skills and learn Veil of Stillness, basically a stealth skill. Back on the MSQ trail, I investigate my aunt's home. Several clues are here. Killer Blade, his real name is Yidao, was tracking me all of this time, but he isn't here to kill me. In fact, he saves me from an ambush. I block arrows, he helps me escape, and we're starting to bond. Together, we deal with the ambushers. We let one guy escape and I track his whereabouts, hoping he will lead us to my aunt. And we end up in this underground dungeon. In that dungeon, I reach exploration level 3, take on more bad guys with my new fan. I realize much later that this isn't the healing fan, but apparently it is the DPS fan. How the hell am I supposed to know that there are 2 of them? I open more treasure, I must deal with more ambushes, this time from sleeping puppets, basically more zombies. These guys in the cages, for example, they're pretty creepy. And at the end of the dungeon, I encounter this bandit-filled pavilion. Yidao tells me to kill the horse so the bandits can't escape. I'm happy to, but this isn't a game where you can make choices, like it's Mass Effect or something. So instead my character sets Yidao up without me really wanting to do that, and I am then starting to save these hostages. It's not a terrible option either, but it would have been nice if I had a little bit of player agency here so that I could at least make a decision. In that sense, story-wise, this game is incredibly linear. It is Ruby again, because of course it is, plus this weird horse dancer guy who decides to summon his horse and fight me. It turns out I need to kill the horse after all. I do that, but the horse dancer guy isn't too happy about this and uses some sort of black magic to bring the horse back to life. And boy is he back. He is so back, he sends me to the afterlife instead. The next try, I decide to go tank, which is a much better option, and I take down the horse for good this time. And look who is here. My cock-blocking aunt turns out to be a badass fighter, and she knows our buddy Yidao even. After we all return to Heaven's Spear, this part of the MSQ is officially completed. I drink from the bowl that says "do not drink" and turn into a Shiba Inu. Elon would be proud. My aunt tells me that we're leaving Heaven's Spear tomorrow, because after all the ambushes it isn't a safe haven anymore. I don't like this, as I want to go on adventures, so I decide to sneak out. Together with Ruby, I seek out Yidao. He gives her a horse, Clip-Clop, and tells me to meet him at midnight. A rather touching scene unfolds where I bring home Ruby, tell her I'm leaving, all on horseback. It's really quite nice. It gives me some Red Dead Redemption vibes. I get my hidden stuff I saved up for years for situations like this from the cellar, and as I have come to expect of Where Winds Meet, that is never a small ordeal. It is a whole dungeon, again leading me to this treasure chamber where I stock up for the journey ahead. The scenery and the ambience is once more incredible. This is one of the most immersive games I've played in a while. For some reason, one of those gnomes I encountered before and killed with an explosive barrel is hiding again in a chest. This time there aren't any explosive barrels, but I have improved a lot and I can kill them. I write a goodbye letter to my aunt, and this completes another part of the main story quest. Later that night, I meet Yi Dao to escape together with him and explore the world. It is a brotherly meeting at this point, brutally disturbed by more bandits. This time, however, they're not after us, they're after the village, Heaven's Spear. At first, Yi Dao doesn't want to help me save it, but shortly after some persuasive moves, he is game. I get dropped from my horse, however, on the way there and continue on foot. It turns out the village is now engulfed in flames, and it is infected somehow by a cursed maze where people keep ending up in the same place if they want to flee. Together with some fighters, we save hostages. Yi Dao tells me of a witch who is creating this cursed maze. All the villagers have been rounded up and are currently safe, but Ruby decides to play the hero. She escapes and starts waving a red flag on a nearby mountain to help the villagers escape by leading them to her. She effectively serves as a beacon to get us out of this maze. This doesn't go unnoticed by the witch, who rains down arrows on Ruby's position, and when that doesn't work, she does it herself. I go up in an attempt to save her, and the witch finally reveals herself. It's the hot chick from the bars, just my luck. Maybe my cock-blocking aunt knew. A fight ensues, we all drop into the wine cellar and it is time to fight the witch. Phase 1 went super smooth, but there is a phase 2. First of all, how insane are these graphics and this art style? But also, how insane is this boss? Now, this isn't the first time I'm getting my ass handed to me in the first few attempts of a boss fight, so let's try again. I think these combos are all deflectable / parryable, but it is not as easy as it seems. The blue bar beneath her health, that is her chi, and when that is depleted, she's exhausted, and I can do a lot of damage and an execution move. By deflecting or parrying her attacks, her chi goes down. That is typically how you defeat these bosses. So it's all about learning the patterns. This game has a practice mode. I decided to practice a little bit. There are a lot of moves to memorize though. She has a wide range of attacks that she uses. Plus, this isn't one boss, it is two bosses in one. They swap from Blood Moon to Ice and back again. After I used probably 8 potions during training, I normally only have one of these, and after I have seen what this boss can do, I decide this is above my pay grade for now. I better get a little bit stronger before attempting this again. I do this by another breakthrough to reach level 40. You get more energy too, which I will get into later. I successfully complete the trial using a combination of tank and sword DPS, so that means an entire new gear set. I can now enhance my gear slots further as this is tied to your character level. I finally visit the doctor. It turns out I've been running around with a bee sting for the last 15 levels or so. I learn a new mystic skill, Glow of Fireflies, which is basically a torch. I complete the puzzle and get rewarded by Meow Meow. I'm saying this in all seriousness, by the way. Meow Meow apparently even has a temple devoted to him, because of course he does. The Chinese like their cats, what can I say? I further improve the oddities passive tree, and while I'm here I remember this world boss, which required level 30 plus. Time to give that another go. Well, this doesn't go exactly as planned, but as I said before, it is usually just a matter of learning the attacks. Parrying, called deflecting in this game, is more important than doing damage, at least solo. The yellow / golden attack cannot be parried, that must be avoided. Any other attack can be parried, and attacks with a red glow deplete extra chi when you parry them. Here you see him losing all of the chi, meaning that I can now freely attack and also do an execution move, dealing tons of damage. The second attempt is already a lot better, but it's still not entirely there yet. I feel this is possible, however. In the third attempt, I managed to get him into phase 2 at least. Unfortunately, I'm not familiar yet with the moves over here with the red glow. The fourth time is the charm though, and I managed to kill him. I remember there was a dungeon nearby, so I check it out. I again have a dragon stone and I go in. It is one of those stealth dungeons again, it's very cool. I unleash my inner Rikimaru and at the end have to do a skill steal minigame. I succeed and I am rewarded with the Panacea fan. A complete accident, but this is the healing fan that I wanted. I upgrade the fans that I have, I need to further upgrade it, I need materials. One way of getting materials is to fight bosses that you killed previously. This costs energy, by the way. This is where the energy economy starts to become apparent. Energy is required for activities like this, which provide rare upgrade materials and new gear. Energy is limited and replenished in certain time intervals. You can also store more energy as you level up, I think up to 500 energy in total. Energy can also be replenished by consuming certain items. I am unsure at this point that you can spend real money on it as well. I don't mind this for now. Doing these bosses is just a lot of fun and I'm not running out of energy at least. I realize at this point I have not yet discovered all of the menus, which is saying something. I have not been paying attention to most of these icons. This is yet another progression thing, the warrior's way, and it is more claiming of things. You get rewarded for literally everything in this game and then have to go into some obscure menu to claim it. It's pretty crazy. I encounter menus doing this I wasn't even aware existed, nor do I know now how to get into those menus ever again. Now that I'm a healer, I decide to wear a new appearance. It's green. I decide to do more side quests to level up. I open the instance using a little trick. Inside there are more dream puppets as well as tons of materials that I require for updates. It's another beautiful scene as well. I reach level 36 while exploring the cave, upgrade several mystical skills, get drawn to this singing coffin, and then get pulled in by this coffin. I end up in a little arena where you can see me combining healing magic, this circle on the ground, and my main sword attacks. It's quite effective. These dungeons offer various puzzles and they're typically not too difficult, but they aren't toddler level difficulty either, and sometimes you find yourself running around a bit looking for the solution. I thought these were well balanced. I found everything I needed to make it into the next room. A deer takes me there and look who it is. May I remind you again, this is all an optional side quest, by the way. It is none other than the Void King, the tutorial boss that I fought at the very start. Now that I have way more sustain during these fights, as I can keep healing myself and there is no such thing as mana, only cooldowns, I can learn these fights as I go. I'm still not fully utilizing all of the healing fan abilities for sure. Also, I will learn later that I haven't unlocked everything yet, but I managed to keep myself alive, using my healing, the 2 flasks, and I kill him on the first try, which feels like a big achievement. Completing this side quest gives various rewards: exploration level 4, the illustrious, and character level 39. And a little later, still in the same cave, at the official end of it all, character level 40. And you know by now what that means, it is a breakthrough, you would think. And it does, kind of, but of course the game adds yet another something, this time the typing mausoleum. I need to complete 2 stages before I can break through. That turns out to not be an issue. Wave 1 is pretty smooth and also wave 2 is no reason for concern thanks to my healing and sustain. With this done, the breakthrough is available, a higher level cap, more energy, and I expected to now have to do the challenge like previously, but no. Basically, the mausoleum has replaced that part. I have no clue why the mausoleum isn't there from the start, or not there at all, rather than being introduced halfway through a level 40, but anyway, I can level up once again and I get a new gear set too. Now that I reached exploration level 4, I get the Afterglow pendant. I discover recycling as well. You can't sell gear to vendors, I noticed, but you can recycle stuff. Judging by this menu, it looks like there's building and housing. I haven't encountered this at all. I discover the in-game shop where you pay with jade fish. So that's what all this fish is for. It has limited supplies and this is mostly for upgrades. I need this silk bind deluge for example, but I will get to that. You can get all of these notes as well. These are for improving your inner ways, various passives that you have usually related to your class. I see I have an egg that I can hatch, which I do, and I now have a goose. Guys, I don't know either, okay? I'm just sharing my experiences. Coming back to these upgrades, not only can you break through, your weapons can do that as well, and you need deluge tips to do that. So my healing fan to be upgraded further requires 2 of these, and later 4. So where do you get these? Well, if you click on them, the game actually tells you, which is nice. In my case, I just purchased them from the store with in-game currency, the jade fish. I do the same for my sword, so I can upgrade my sword as well. And after that, again, I need 4. So I buy 4 more, open the chests, get the 4 out of there, and this allows me to upgrade the sword further. The shop has a limited supply, however, and this is not all as it turns out. You can also tune gear, because of course you can. Tuning is like adding affixes to gear, and it uses its own tuning stone currency. It seems to be complete RNG what you're getting. I only unlock it after level 40, I think. Back to the game, now that I have the Afterglow pendant, I can do this. This is just amazing and very convenient. I love this new travel mode. Why am I traveling here, you may ask? Well, for more upgrades, of course. There are also vendors in the world selling various items for gold. And to enhance my gear slots, as you can see over here, I need some of those materials like fur and ore. Again, the game tells you where you can buy or farm these. It's pointed me to a vendor in this case. I enhance whatever I can. I buy out basically the entire shop, which also has a weekly limited supply. I equip a new hat, which is not related to anything that I just said. And I do more fancy traveling. Yeah, I don't know what to say. I adore how wacky and weird this game is at times. And also how polished. This is like a really smooth experience. It's time for a new activity, outposts. Basically, clear the outposts. Do that and claim the rewards. And maybe now all of these different rewards start to make some sense. Let me pause the game and go over them real quick, from left to right. The first 4 items are gear. These are completely random and the gear level depends on your breakthrough. For me, these will be level 41 currently, as I am in the level 41 to 50 bracket of character levels. Then 376 jade fish to be used in the in-game store, 6400 gold to buy stuff from vendors, 30 ore, that is a material to upgrade the mystic skills like Tai Chi, 16,800 experience, 2 times 2 chests with upgrade materials for various things such as inner ways, and then 4 oscillating jade used to enhance gear. It only took me 11 pages of script to figure all of that out, and there is way more to explore. I will say that the game telling you where to get all of these once you click on them helps a lot in gaining a proper understanding of what's going on. The rest just takes time, but I don't necessarily feel the game is doing a bad job here. I upgrade my medicine, that is basically your flask capacity in Elden Ring. I can now have 3 flask charges. To prevent this video from going completely off the rails in terms of runtime, I'm going to exclude some encounters like this one, but I will be completing plenty of these. This is the debating tutorial, that minigame that I screwed up earlier, or this beautiful music, which is probably my favorite minigame so far. I will include some side quests here and there though, because they're just so good. And here's the next one. This one brings me to a lake, which I drain. I solve the entrance puzzle to get into the instance, and this ultimately results in more mesmerizing views. I complete the quest, reach level 47, meaning my weapons can be upgraded to level 47 as well. I win an archer minigame, killing goats. I kill 14, my opponent only 6, so we just slaughtered 20 ghosts for no reason. It's excellent. I farm more Heartseeker encounters because I need more upgrade materials. You see roughly the same type of rewards as with the outposts. I run it again, loot the rewards, reach level 49, buy out all of the oscillating jade from the store so I can enhance more gear as I am getting ready to fight the witch again. I think she may level up with me, but in training mode she was level 50, so I figured I should also be level 50 and armed to the teeth. It is time to return, to defeat the witch once and for all. Here we are again, stronger than ever. I should have sustained from being a healing fanboy, and the first phase is really quite smooth. Given enough time, I can self-heal back to full, and I'll just let this play out a little bit. It is an amazing fight, I think. time for phase 2. I'm fairly confident this time, but some of these combos basically completely one-shot me at this point. And I die again after a barrage of swinging scythe attacks to the face. This goes on for like 30 minutes and I'm getting nowhere basically. I also barely do damage, I barely be able to parry shit, so I decided to try out the co-op system, as you can invite others to help you out. Bellax FR is so kind to join me, which makes the fight a lot easier. I am trying to fulfill my designated role as well as I can without really knowing how to heal other players. I create the healing zones around Bellax whenever I can. The ability Bounce to Grave targets her as well, plus she has an umbrella following her around, which I will learn much later is also a healing spell, healing over time. This all works very well and I can actually enjoy the fight now. It is a true piece of art how both bosses activate each other throughout the fight. While one of the bosses is fighting you, the other is just looming under the surface, ready to appear and make your life miserable. This is on par with some of the best bosses in Elden Ring. I'm not exaggerating, this is incredible. After defeating them, thanks a lot to Bellax, they shatter the world. I am thrown back into the present, somehow about to be executed by the witch, but Yidao saves me once more. The cinematic continues. I am truly invested into all of this at this point. Yidao and I went through a lot together lately and the character building has been quite effective. We toast one last time in the midst of battle. He shows off his martial prowess, even blocking an attack with his bare hands like Neo. But we are being overwhelmed and in an emotional climax, Yidao performs one last heroic act before the witch inevitably gets the better of us. The whole thing ends with a massive explosive wine blast and after all is said and done, I am a horse. Clip clop. This might normally be a bit of an anticlimax, but after this emotional roller coaster, I don't mind being a horse for a bit, enjoying the beautiful environments, galloping to a map marker without knowing why. I feel the game just burst wide open. It is clearly time to reflect. It is some solid storytelling right there. Of course, I am still alive and together with Clip Clop it is time for a new chapter in the main story quest in another part of the world. This part is Kaifeng and here is the first map. I reached level 50 as well. My aunt left me a letter to go look for the Ember of East, so that is why I'm here. I feel I have a lot left to explore in Qinghe, however, such as upgrading the Oddity passive tree. I break through and do the Typing Mausoleum where I have to fight the Void King once more. The cap is now level 55, I have new gear, so that means more tuning and whatnot. I complete another side quest, I think I have all of them now, at least in this part of Qinghe. I decide to spend whatever real money, cash shop currency I have. I don't get much, I feel. Some in-game buffs, it seems, and that's it. Here is how crazy some of this claiming behavior can be. You can do this pretty much endlessly, all day long, just finding random menus and clicking on claim. I have no clue why this is the case, as there's basically no real money involved. It's just a convoluted mess for no apparent reason. The game isn't trying to tell me to spend money or anything, it's just things I enjoy claiming rewards, which I do, but this number of rewards is just crazy. I decided to join a joint battle to clear outposts. You can sign up using these yellow swords and then together with 4 others you take down an outpost. I decided to play the healer and the victory is very swift. I do the most healing as it turns out, so I guess I'm doing a good job. I claim another bunch of rewards and apparently this co-op thing is a 5 outposts in a row. I am not really up for that, but I can see how this is pretty fun, playing in a party and farming that way. Rather than that, I tackle several outposts by myself, I claim more rewards, I'm getting level 51 gear at this point and I start tuning more gear. Other than adding affixes, I don't necessarily know which ones are good. The game tells me that some are recommended, however, by using the tag RMCD. I realize I can spend more jade fish in this store for boxes with gear, so I do that. I open all those boxes and you can see the gear all has the same icon, a flower or an ice crystal. I discover that this seems to be the only reliable way to get set pieces, because these icons means that they're part of a set. By opening gear boxes that can only drop these two sets, the Ivory Bloom set for weapons and the World Snow set for armor, I can get these important set bonuses. According to the game, these are the two recommended healer sets, so that's good to know. I finally find Meow Meow's temple, which lets me buy more stuff. I decide to buy out all of the oscillating jade that I can for enhancing. The upgrading continues. I noticed that purple gear can be tuned with one more affix, so it is usually better. You can tell perhaps my equipment is getting pretty good. I improve more and more pieces. I have apparently reached my weekly jade fish limit. Okay. And I continue to learn another weapon, the Soul Shade Umbrella. I equipped that and ultimately upgraded all the way to almost level 50, and one of the things it does is this. This is a healing over time buff. It's super useful. The reason I went for this in the first place, and the reason I knew where all of this was, is because I noticed that hidden in all of the menus there is a player guide, and that has several recommendations. Going Umbrella was one of them. I'm level 55, it's time for another breakthrough where I must fight another boss. With double healing now, this isn't hard. I finished the mausoleum, gain solo mode level 7, understanding, level cap 60, and again I get a new set. The player guide told me to get this Inner Way, Royal Remedy. It is another healing buff. Once you found this guide, it is quite helpful as it offers 20 challenges to complete and provides an overview of things that you should improve. The giant goose that I healed at the start of the game has sent me an email saying that he's doing just fine, with a claimable reward of course. I reach exploration level 5, the renowned. I figure out I can recycle also these tips. I haven't really talked about tips yet, but these are basically items that you need to improve your inner ways. The mostly class-specific passives, like the one that I just got from my healer player guide recommendations. You get these coupons when recycling, and then you can spend those coupons to buy somewhat specific tips aimed at, in my case, healing related inner ways. It is still mostly RNG. I do get myself enough to upgrade a water totem, for example, for more healing. I do another side quest involving a bunch of drums, leading me to this very cool boss. The first attempt isn't a success as per usual, but I get the hang of it fast enough and I kill him on the second try. Patch 1.1 drops on December 11th. I've been playing for 5 days straight at this point. I decide to continue the main story quest and encounter these bad guys terrorizing the outskirts of what I think is the capital. These are Unbound Cavern Thugs, a place that I will visit much later. I make short work of them. A local belief about life coins scares them away, and this trick turns out to be the work of Ying Ying. Ying Ying is basically like Yuffie in Final Fantasy VII. She's constantly scamming you, but adorable nonetheless. Here, she scams me out of a bowl of food and a bunch of coins. She runs off, leaving me to pay the bill, and I start making some money buying and selling grain. What I don't know at this point, but I do know now, is that this convoluted quest line with a lot of walking around and selling stuff and chasing people isn't so much about the quest itself as it is about introducing a bunch of new important characters. Ying Ying, the scammer, this little mouse girl, Little Foo, is also a scammer by the way, and it serves to explain the difference between copper coins, the official means of payment, and tang coins, which are banned by the government and typically made out of iron. However, most poor people, basically everyone I meet in this region, only has tang coins, no copper coins, making them even poorer as tang coins are now useless. Possession of tang coins is even a criminal offense. I make my way to Revelry Hall to meet the Ember of East. This takes me from the city outskirts into the city itself, Kaifeng, and once again it is introduced in a rather original way. This discovering new places like this is very exciting, I think. There is a downside too to the big city, to this vibrant city life, and that is this area, where those same thugs terrorize the poor population. The tone shifts, it's all grey and gloomy, there's slavery, oppression, it is basically a ghetto, and it is where the furnace stands. The furnace is where the coins are made, where people are imprisoned in what are effectively working camps. I don't go there, however, not yet. No, first we're starting a fight, of course, with the local authorities, and during that fight a local notices my combat moves. He starts helping me out by throwing chickens at the guards. This game tends to switch a lot from truly ridiculous to quite emotional scenes, but somehow it does all fit together, probably because of the convincing world building. This guy is a legend, he saves me and Little Fu, and even helps me to get into Revelry Hall, and his name is Big Zhao. I meet the local wayfarer, get the city map. Here is another introduction to the south part of the city. It is gorgeous, really. I reach level 1 exploration because exploration levels are per zone. That means that I can't fly either. It's a bit like Final Fantasy XIV, where you have to unlock flying in every new zone before your mount can do that. Big Zhao found us transportation. We need an invitation, but we don't have one, so I'm sure this is all gonna be fine. This is Revelry Hall, another piece of world building art, and here is the Ember of East. This is the person my aunt told me to find. I think it's a localization error. Ember of the East makes more sense, right? We put on the worst disguise in video game history, hoping to get in this way, and for some reason it works. We walk around in the Revelry Hall and you get a glimpse of a bunch of higher-ups, politicians, war leaders, legendary figures. They're all here. And then it is time for the main act, involving the Ember, who presents the gold-making vessel. That's a pretty self-explanatory relic, I feel. The Ember is looking for a volunteer. The audience fights over who gets to create gold first, and ultimately it's this guy, Z, who gets the privilege. And it is indeed a golden shower, and who doesn't like that? Shortly after, however, once the audience sees the relic is real, it all goes sideways. The building starts to explode, everyone starts fighting for possession of the vessel, also for some reason called the treasure basin. More localization issues, I think. And when that is over, the vessel is stolen and the authorities discover that I don't have a ticket to be here. This guy in purple, he's like their local ruler, the prefect of Kaifeng. I make a deal with the guy, I promise him to find the thief in 7 days, and if I don't succeed, I will die due to poison that he now inflicts on me. This is a great deal. I take a quick break from the questing and I find the local melodies of peace for a bunch of passive points. I join a party to clear out 5 outposts. This costs energy, but you gain a bunch of loot as well, so it's worth doing, I feel. I try out a boss as well, and this is a super cool boss fight. I just have absolutely no clue what I'm doing. There's a bunch of mechanics involved actually, which are all quite original too in my opinion. You need at times to transform into a donkey and then run with a stream of other donkeys so the boss can't target you. During certain stages of the fight, players get thrown into the air and they will drop down, and if they don't land on the player who is a donkey to essentially break their fall, they die. He summons vines, which you need to destroy to free players. It's a lot of fun actually. Most of the things you have to do are written in the UI during the fight, which of course doesn't mean that you either read that or instantly understand the mechanic, but I can appreciate it being there. Our group, however, ends up disbanding because we can't kill the boss. My contribution likely wasn't helping either. I do more cat quests and reach level 2 exploration in Kaifeng. I take on a side quest to find grain for the local population and end up in a granary, but there's no grain in storage at all. I pursue the clues, I get to an underground facility, drop this on 3 guards using my bow, find the original Lord of Grain, and I have to fight the guy who was impersonating the true Lord of Grain. This is the imposter. It is Zhang Yi, a fanboy, just like me. This is a difficult fight, I think. The first stage, as per usual, isn't that much of an issue, but then the game tends to go all out in stage 2. The bosses tend to have so many different combos, and to learn them all so you can parry plus dodge the ones that you can't parry can be quite a challenge. Some bosses, like this one, have attacks that are less telegraphed than others. Also, it's during this fight that I discovered you can parry ranged attacks just as easily as melee attacks. I presumed it would only work on melee, but that is not the case. I'm getting pretty close, as you can see, but ultimately I get an online player to help out a bit in co-op mode, and it is night and day in terms of difficulty. Sometimes I feel like struggling with bosses is fine, and sometimes I just want to get it over with, so having the co-op option I think is great. This quest allows me to learn a new inner way, Mending Loom, for additional healing. I'm doing a side quest that teaches me the basics of building a house. I have been getting random decorations as quest rewards as well, so player housing must be a thing. Apart from this quest and a few other side quests, I never explore it further. I'm unsure if there is a player housing area for all of this. It wasn't mentioned, I think. I'm not looking up any guides for this video, as that would defeat the purpose, so I just don't know. It's back to the mausoleum to break through another level. I killed the donkey guy, the sleeping Taoist, and I reached level 65, meaning I get new gear and all, and you know the drill by now. I also go for a broke monk look. I do more crafting, tuning, recycling, all of that. The gear score goes up significantly. I increase martial arts multiple times with my new gear. I try the boss one more time, and this time I succeed. I'm even the best healer of the group, the game tells me. This inspires confidence, and I do another boss, which is another great boss fight with a bunch of mechanics, and also there we succeed as a group. I level up to level 64, I do another side quest, which typically means fighting another boss. This time it is this guy, Lucky 17. It's another cool fight. I reached level 65, went to breakthrough again, but for some reason the game won't let me do that unless 9 days have passed. 9 days in real life, by the way. I don't understand the logic of that, but it's okay, as Path of Exile 2's new league is launching, so I'll be playing that anyway. It is 1.5 weeks later. In real life, I am done with Path of Exile 2, let's get back to where winds meet. I decided to continue the main story quest, and via Big Zhao I learned that the 9 mortal ways are involved in the theft of the gold making vessel. I need to find these guys, but first the 9 days have passed I can break through. So that means a mausoleum, and there it is, level 70. Interestingly, you're not getting level 66 gear as you normally would. It remains at level 61, which I don't mind, as that also means that I don't have to invest and upgrade everything now. I unlock another appearance, which I quite like, the blue monk instead of the broke monk. I buy a bunch of gear boxes from the weekly shop, it has all reset at this point, using jade fish. I haven't and will not during this video spend a single euro on this game. It is all in-game currency that I earned from just playing the game. I tweak my gear a little more. I now even get golden rewards from quests and whatnot, which have another affix on them. So I guess that is the next gear goal. But with that done, back to the MSQ. I need to gain access to the Forsaken Quarter, which I will have to do using a bunch of clues. This game sometimes does exploration and clues very well, like at the very start in that encampment with lighting the braziers, that was great. In this instance, maybe because it is the main story, there is a bunch of hand-holding and there's no need to even read the clues, you can just follow the markers. This takes away from the experience quite a bit in my opinion, there's no need for all of these markers. I make it into the Forsaken Quarter, and here many of the characters that I've met so far during my journey all start to make sense. The Turtle Granny, Ying Ying, Little Fu, Big Zhao, they'll all be pivotal for this chapter. It turns out Lord Z, this guy in red, has been making the lives miserable of the folk in the Forsaken Quarter. Little Fu has stolen the gold-making vessel and I decided to chase after her, which brings me through the Unbound Caverns, where those thugs were coming from, to this underground theater, where I make short work of course of its inhabitants until I meet Faceless, another boss. It takes me a little while to learn all the combos, but I managed to do it, so I make my way to this underground prison, kill the head of the prison after getting rid of his lackeys. I find a whole bunch more Faceless, which I can't defeat, it is way too many of them, and after 5 failed attempts I just decide to make a run for it, which is the correct call as it turns out. Well, kinda, because now I have to fight this guy. He's nice to birds, but he's not nice to me. His attacks are very telegraphed, which helps. However, he shoots me off the platform, which doesn't help. I take him down without too many issues, fall off the platform anyway, but now it is intended, by the game at least. I meet Little Fu, who somehow made it all the way down, this isn't the time to question the logic of this video game, and when I chase her, I get to this magnificent place. It's another breathtaking moment. Also, of course, another boss, the Tao Lord. Fun fact, this guy was in Revelry Hall and thus could have stolen the gold-making vessel, so this does line up in terms of plot. If I capture him, I regain my freedom from the prefect of Kaifeng. That is why I'm here, effectively. The attacks of this boss are very poorly telegraphed, however he doesn't do much damage. It's a very interesting fight, and phase 2 is 3 bosses, because the Tao Lord wasn't just one person it turns out, but it is 3. And it turns out it wasn't just 3 bosses, it is 3 little girls, because of course it is. One of them being Little Fu, the others Little Lu and Little Shu. I go through a small quest in the Ghostlight Market and teleport back to the surface for the final part of the currently available main story quest. We make a plan with the gang and face Lord Z in this cutscene, where Ying Ying reveals she is in fact the Ember of East. It is all coming together now, honestly. This isn't a bad story at all. She gets captured and is sent to the furnace. I smuggle my way in there via this cart, and once I'm in, this is another instance of the game just providing way too many markers. I fly across a pavilion as I do to find the secret entrance, get more help from the little girls in opening a passage to the furnace, and once inside again, the game does such an effective job of introducing places like this. It is harrowing, it looks amazing, the music is great, I love these scenic introductions. It gets pretty wild in here for some reason. The guards start firing cannons at me inside of this building as soon as they see me. It makes no logical sense, but it does make for a fun sequence in which I move through the mayhem in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon style. It is an absolute blast. The final destination is Lord Z, who is possessed by gold, now has the gold-making vessel, and also turns out to be some sort of deity. He is the god of avarice. This is a great fight, which I'm learning on the spot as I go. I figure out his combos, but as you might expect by now, the first phase is only the beginning, and there is no way of knowing how crazy the fight is going to get this time. Well, pretty crazy. Here is phase 2, where he now has 2 swords. He is significantly faster with his combos. I have to learn those all over again, and I can because I have great sustain at this point. It's taken me a while, but I have pretty much mastered my own healing spell combos. The umbrella on top of me is constantly healing me. I have several other healing spells active. I am hard to kill. I noticed the boss has dropped a bunch of gold piles on the floor and his health bar changed into gold pieces. I just decided in the moment to pick up these gold pieces. I'm not sure it's part of the fight, but it seems like the correct thing to do. I can lower his gold health bar as you normally would with damage and by parrying his attacks. The arena after a while looks clean, no more gold piles, and I managed to destroy his golden health bar. Once I do, he's back to regular health bars and the fight continues. I managed to bring his health down to 0, and this phase ends as well. Normally, after 2 phases, this is the end, but not this time. We have now lost all sense of logic, ended up in the clouds. I am parrying beams from his scepter. He has turned into like this gigantic monster. I am running from a bunch of golden dudes. I have to shoot the bow at the eye of the scepter, which then deals damage to him. This attack is like straight from Elden Beast. I know this one, but I wasn't aware he had laser beams and the red eye of Sauron as well. I hit him again though with my bow. There is a whole scene playing in the background between the corrupted politicians and the Ember of East, also known as Ying Ying. who is still captured, while via a goldfish pouch and singing of the people in Forsaken Quarter, I receive the power to deal the killing blow to this golden god. It's fucking ridiculous, it's epic, it's amazing, I absolutely love every minute of this grand finale, and this is only the second chapter of the main story quest. And that's basically the end for now. There's a cute epilogue where citizens are allowed to change their old useless tan coins for copper coins, so I solved poverty in that sense. And of course I'm here because Ying Ying, the Ember of East, may know about my aunt. She sent me here after all. However, anticlimax, she doesn't really, and sends me to someone else who does. That part of the main story quest is however not yet implemented, so my story and video end here as well. I normally make ARPG content for games like Path of Exile, but I do play plenty of other video games. I usually don't cover those because they typically don't perform well, those videos. There's a good chance this won't either, but I wanted to share this experience as I had such a good time with Where Winds Meet. The fact you can get all of this for free is completely nuts. I feel it's also a very interesting take on the free-to-play business model because I think there is little to no pay to win, also because you're barely competing against others. Most of the game you can't play in multiplayer. It is not an MMO game, basically, in that sense. Only certain activities and dungeons and certain bosses, those you do in a party. But the rest is you exploring these beautiful worlds that the developers have created. There are a whole boatload of events which I barely covered, and those are multiplayer to some extent. There's a whole load of MTX, of course, which you can buy with real money. Those things look amazing as well, by the way. And there is a battle pass, but it all seems completely fair to me so far. If I am completely wrong about the monetization, let me know in the comments, but so far I didn't feel pressured to spend anything on the game. And in the meantime, I just spent like dozens of hours, if not more, and just had an amazing time. And therefore, I would heavily recommend this game. I think it's crazy how much content and fun and good content you're getting for free. And I will for sure revisit this game once it's received some more updates. For now, I will dive back into ARPG games that my audience is more familiar with. Thanks so much for watching though, and thanks even more for making it to the end. This is probably the longest video I've ever made. Love you all, see you soon, bye bye.